everybody, welcome to another Cheltenham Focus with me, Daryl Carter for RacingTips.com. Loads to review this week, a little bit of a different view. I'm going to break down the international hurdle that was run at Cheltenham on Saturday, won by Call Me Lord, in reference to the Champion hurdle in March. Now, we're going to put up an anti-post bet later on in the clip, and we will run through our anti-post selections and see whereabouts we are at this current time. But without further ado, the international hurdle was won on Saturday by Call Me Lord. Really interesting facts here about the Triumph Hurdle Trial and the international race that was both run over the same course and distance on the same day on Saturday. Now, Botox was a 5-length winner of the Triumph Hurdle Trial on Saturday. He's a 33-1 shot for the Triumph in March. Definitely the sort won this race back in 2016. It's normally a fairly good indicator of a decent horse. The overall time of the Triumph Hurdle was 4 minutes and 21 seconds, and the International Hurdle 4 minutes and 18 seconds. But there's a massive difference in the two races. After the third hurdle, Botox was 2 seconds clear of Alexis Denux leading the international field. Again at the 4th, 5th, and at the 6th, he was 2.5 seconds clear of the international field. In fact, he was still clear at the 7th, and he was still clear at the cross path before the last hurdle. So, what does that tell us? The first thing that tells us is Botox has gone at a fairly good gallop and stayed on very strongly. Looked very green in the closing stages. I think 33-1 looks a bit big for him, if I'm being honest. But what does that tell us about the international hurdle? Well, that tells us, for one thing, that Alexis Denux, forget about him. He is not a champion hurdle contender. Set very slow fractions and got swamped. There's just no excuse for Alexis Denux, really. I would prefer to have seen a much better showing from that horse. But it shows us that the international race was run at a very slow gallop and turned into a sprint coming up that straight after the cross path. Now, at the 8th fence, Chittabello, Pentland Hills and Call Me Lord all landed in front of Botox and the climb began up the hill. Call Me Lord definitely deserves an upgrade for that, I feel. He's been run over much further previously, dropped back to 2 miles for the first time in a very long time and proved he could be a champion hurdle contender. He's 16-1, and anyone who says Call Me Lord is not fast enough for 2 miles is completely wrong on the basis of this evidence, because he quickened up very well and a stronger pace will definitely suit him. But where are we with Pentland Hills and Chittabello? Well, if we go back to last year's Cheltenham Festival, we've got a lovely form line here with Chittabello winning the County and Pentland Hills winning the Triumph Hurdle. They both got a bit of a blocked run on the day. Chittabello came all the way from 10th position, negotiating around a big field. Pentland Hills benefited by sitting off a very strong pace in the Grade 1 Triumph Hurdle, but came clear a winner. Chittabello carrying 11 stone 5, Pentland Hills carrying 11 stone. Both horses were recorded at a time of 37 seconds between the second last and the last. And both horses were recorded at a time of 51 seconds between the second last and the finish line. Both horses record a similar time of 4 minutes, 4 seconds. Now, that tells a lot about where we are with Pentland Hills, in my eyes. Pentland Hills needs to improve a ton to be a champion hurdle contender. Yes, he's a 150 rated horse. Yes, he'll improve for the run. But he definitely wants a strong pace to come off. That wouldn't have suited him. But I'm yet to be convinced by Pentland Hills for the champion hurdle. He's up to 10-1 for the champion hurdle. So they're not impressed. The bookies are not impressed. Chittabello ran a fine race there. I think Chittabello ran right up to his mark. Andy actually gained first run on the field in the international hurdle. So don't worry about the bare form of Andy finishing second there. It's not as bad as it initially looks. But for me, Call Me Lord deserves the upgrade. 16-1 for the champion hurdle. If you fancy it, I won't put you off. It seems about right. Where else are we going to go? Over here, Ryman Novice's Chase won by Mr. Fisher for Nicky Henderson. Very strong at the finish now, 25-1 for the JLT. He beat Good Boy Bobby, and Good Boy Bobby's jumping to the right is still a concern for me. He loses too much ground at his fences, jumping right. But he's actually been clipped in for the JLT market. He's now 25-1, and he's still 33-1 for the Arkle. But just looks like he may well prefer a right-handed track. So he's going to have to be sidelined for the moment. But the reason I want to mention this race is because it's very informative in terms of the festival in March. Now, it brings plenty of clues. Whisper ran in this race and was second in the RSA. The 4 miler winner came out of this race last year, and the Ultimate Handicap winner came out the year before. So it's worth keeping an eye on that form line, keeping an eye on that race, and probably saving that somewhere and having a look at that. Now, Mr. Fisher, where's he going to go? What's he going to do? Now, 2 of the 3 Nicky Henderson winners of this race have stepped up to 3 miles on their next couple of starts. And I think that could be the case for Mr. Fisher, who was only doing his best work at the finish there. So he's worth keeping an eye on. Perhaps the Ultimate Handicap might be the target for him. Now, he's off 144 at the moment. I suspect he'll get a couple of pounds rise for that, but he wouldn't want to go up too much further in the weights for the Ultimate Handicap. Sam Spinner took apart Windsor Avenue over at Doncaster. However, Windsor Avenue did scope dirty after the race, so it's a bit of a non-event there. Sam Spinner's jumping definitely needs work if he's going to be an RSA contender. Chantry House is 20 to 1. Best price for the Supreme after winning on Saturday. If you like that, take that. I think he's going to improve a ton for the run, but I'd have to see him again. Easy Lands. Very impressive in the cross country. Definitely the biggest danger to Tiger Roll as far as I'm concerned. 7 to 1 for the cross country if you fancy it. Won't put you off that either. And Andy Dufresne was beaten at Navan on Sunday. What is going on in the world? There look to be no real excuses, to be honest with you. He went a very high cruising speed throughout and was just done for tap for toe at the finish. I don't think he stays 3 miles. I know plenty of people do. Perhaps the drop back to the Supreme trip. I'm not entirely sure if he's going to be good enough there. I'd like to see him again, but it just looks like he's not putting it all in at the finish, which would worry me slightly. Right, that's us picked up all the action. Ante-post bets. Where are we now with our ante-post bets? We have Vindication at 33 to 1 for the Gold Cup. He's still around 33 to 1. I'm happy with our outside position there. Andy Dufresne, 12 to 1 for the Ballymore and 16 to 1 for the Supreme we put him up at. It's now 12 to 1 for the Ballymore still, but 25s for the Supreme. So, looking a bit dodgy there. The one I'm very happy about is Notebook. 25 to 1 for the Arkle is now the best price. 16 to 1, that's only with one firm. So, I can't wait to see him at Christmas. Duvan, 14 to 1 for the Champion Chase. It's still 14 to 1 in places. It's going to miss Christmas, unfortunately, which is not a great sign for us. But hopefully he can get there in one piece. That would be great to see him in the Champion Chase. Honeysuckle, 12 to 1 for the Champion Hurdle, is now out to 14 to 1. This horse has had a little bit of a drift in all of the markets this week, which is slightly worrying. But that is everything for this week. Got one ante-post bet to put up this week, and I'm taking a little bit of a chance here. Probably going to be the last big double figure price, to say the least, for the next few weeks. We're going to get really stuck in. But it's unaccepted in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Now the dust has settled on this horse, I went back and watched his run. He was so impressive. He quickened up very smartly. And with the unknown about Envoy Allen, I definitely think this horse could be a superstar. So, unaccepted for Willie Mullins. He's entered at Christmas in a Grade 1 race. I expect him to go well there. And if he does, he will not be 11 to 1 for the Supreme after Christmas. So, let's hope he can get the job done in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. We're looking okay at the minute, but like I say, we're going to get stuck in after Christmas. That's this week's review. Thanks very much for joining. I'll see you soon.